Kalashnikov, and they all look pretty similar, used by about 10 million different countries. The trigger job on them, or the trigger pull on them, tends to be kind of light, but you don't know when it's going to go. You just pull the trigger long, and someday it goes off. You don't really know when. What we're going to do is we'll make the trigger pull let off slightly heavier, but you're going to know exactly when it's going to go. And the trigger will feel more consistent, more precise. But before we start that, we need to learn a few basics about, or a few basic rules about what triggers or sear systems have to do. And you have to play by these rules or you'll wind up with a unsafe or unsafe trigger mechanism. In a gun like this gun, if you go about it wrong, it'll multiple on you, and ATF takes a real dim view of that. So play by the rules. You're going to find the trigger job is easy. You can live with it. It feels real good, and ATF won't get mad and slap your wrist. I'm going to show you a little demonstration here, a little mock-up surface. You pay attention. Surface right here. Now, I believe that I mentioned this before, that the angle of the primary sear system was positive, that I wasn't going to change it. Be careful of that. If it's right when you start, don't change this angle here and don't change this angle here. Where? Because if you do, you're going to make it less positive or more positive depending on which way you go. If it's right the way right when you start, then don't change it. Murphy's Law, if it works, don't fix it. And that's basically what you do here. Also, on this particular trigger job, we don't have to take off. If the safety worked before, it's still going to work. And you see it does. Now, this gun's a little bit different because it's a relatively strong spring, but you notice that the secondary sear system also cams the hammer back a little bit. It's almost neutral, but it does in fact cam it back. You can see it cam it back. Most secondary sear systems, in order to work, will have to be neutral or slightly negative. So it's this system, the one that keeps it from following down when the trigger is pulled. Your secondary sear system on most guns will be and will need to be neutral or slightly negative. That's not a holding or let-off sear. Don't confuse it. This main sear, the forward sear, the primary sear, must be positive. And on this gun, of course, it's quite positive, and that's good. Now, watch this. Remember how I greased lightning and give it a shot of that? I'm glad that Break Free came out with this because I really am impressed with it. And we'll weigh the trigger pull. Remember, it's 2 3/4 when we started. It's going to be heavier now, but the heaviness is going to be the second sear that we now have to compress the sear on the disconnect or secondary sear system.